Imagine, the year is 865 AD. In the north, a message arrives that will reshape the fate of England. A warlord has died far from home, and the story of his death travels faster than any ship. The name is Ragnar. His execution, recorded in later tradition, becomes something more than a killing. It becomes a provocation. Across the North Sea, rival kingdoms stand divided: Northumbria, East Anglia, Mercia, Wessex. What begins as vengeance will evolve into invasion, and what arrives on England's shores in late 865 is not a raid, but an army. The chronicles call it the Great Heathen Army, a force that will seize York, shatter kings, and redraw the political map. At its centre stands a commander known as Ivar the Boneless, a commander debated by historians and feared by his rivals. The question is not whether England will be attacked, but whether its kingdoms can survive what follows. The death of Ragnar does not erupt into uncontrolled rage. It crystallises into intent. Across the Scandinavian world and the Norse network stretching from Denmark to the Irish Sea, leaders interpret the moment not as tragedy alone, but as opportunity. England is fragmented into competing kingdoms: Northumbria in the north, East Anglia along the eastern coast, Mercia dominating the Midlands, Wessex guarding the south. None commands unified authority. Rivalries simmer, loyalties shift. Borders are defended more against neighbours than against outsiders. The island is politically divided long before foreign ships appear on its shores. Invasion does not invent instability, it identifies it. In late 865, fleets arrive in East Anglia. This is not a fleeting coastal strike. It is a force prepared to remain through winter. Camps are organised with discipline. Supplies are secured. Negotiation replaces immediate devastation. Local rulers weigh survival against resistance and choose tribute. Horses are delivered. Mobility is gained. The invading army transforms from maritime raiders into a flexible inland force capable of rapid deployment. Movement becomes strategy. Speed becomes intimidation. An army that can appear anywhere creates uncertainty everywhere. Mounted mobility alters the entire equation of power. Rivers, roads, and open plains become corridors rather than barriers. Intelligence flows. Terrain is studied. Political fractures are mapped with the same care as geography. Among remembered commanders, Ivar, later known as the Boneless, emerges as a calculating presence. Whether the epithet reflects physical condition or symbolic meaning, his strategic profile emphasizes patience over impulse. He delays confrontation. He consolidates resources. He ensures that when movement comes, it arrives with precision rather than noise. Northumbria undermines itself. Aella and Osbert compete for dominance while unity erodes. Resources divide. Military coordination falters. Civil conflict consumes energy that should reinforce defence. The invading army does not need to create fracture. It finds fracture embedded in the political order. York becomes the objective, a fortified city carrying Roman heritage and strategic weight. In early November 866, vigilance declines. The response is delayed. The attackers move swiftly. Defensive cohesion collapses before centralized resistance can form. The fall of York transforms the campaign. This is not plunder followed by retreat. It is occupation. Granaries are secured. Walls are reinforced. Administrative control replaces temporary chaos. A forward stronghold now stands deep within Northumbria. Territorial seizure alters the psychology of the island. Neighbouring rulers confront a new reality: fortified urban authority under foreign command. The balance of power shifts not only through force, but through permanence. In early 867, Northumbrian rivals reconcile under pressure. A combined army advances toward York confident that numbers will restore legitimacy. Outer defences are breached. Soldiers pour into constricted streets. But urban terrain compresses formations. Lines fragment. Communication dissolves. Numerical strength becomes disadvantage. What appears decisive turns chaotic. Momentum reverses in confined space where coordination fails and retreat becomes impossible. Aella is captured alive. His defeat signals more than personal downfall, it marks the collapse of structured northern resistance. Later accounts describe his execution with varying emphasis, some portraying ritual severity. Regardless of detail, the political meaning is unmistakable. Retaliation has been delivered. Authority in Northumbria now functions under coercion. The symbolic impact travels across England. Fear becomes a political currency. The campaign continues. In 869, East Anglia again becomes focal point. King Edmund refuses submission. His death, preserved in religious tradition, reinforces perception of inexorable advance. Whether described through martyrdom or military defeat, the outcome strengthens the invading reputation. Each fallen ruler magnifies fear in distant courts. Resistance appears costly. Neutrality appears temporary. The psychological dimension of conquest deepens. Terror operates as multiplier. Mercia confronts the same dilemma: confrontation or withdrawal. Its king chooses departure. Authority dissolves without decisive battle. Thrones left vacant reshape political landscapes as profoundly as victories. The northern commanders demonstrate adaptability. They install compliant figures when advantageous. They exert direct control when necessary. Expansion evolves into governance. Conquest becomes administrative architecture layered upon military success. By the early 870s, two major kingdoms have been destabilized. A new political geography takes shape across northern and eastern England. Scandinavian influence touches law, settlement, and commerce. Military outposts transform into communities. Agricultural integration begins. Cultural exchange unfolds under pressure. The island is not erased. It is reconfigured through sustained presence. In Wessex, resistance adopts a different logic. Engagements in 871 are costly and inconclusive. Survival depends on recalibration rather than dramatic victory. Tribute is paid, not solely from weakness, but from calculation. Time is purchased, armies reorganize, defensive systems strengthen, strategic depth emerges, adaptation replaces desperation. Defensive burrs begin to appear across vulnerable terrain. Coastal surveillance intensifies, naval awareness expands, resistance becomes structured, governance evolves toward resilience. The southern kingdom studies the invader's strengths and adjusts accordingly. Patience becomes a weapon, equal to steel. Leadership within the northern army also shifts. Figures linked to the initial invasion fade from certain records and reappear across the Irish Sea. Power operates through networks rather than singular authority. Objectives expand beyond vengeance toward durability. Settlement, trade, and regional influence grow alongside military dominance. Economic integration follows sustained control. Land is cultivated. Trade routes adapt. Languages intermingle. Law adjusts to new realities. Authority becomes layered rather than absolute. What began as retaliation evolves into transformation across generations. The island stands divided between spheres of influence, north and east under Scandinavian control, south independent yet pressured. Conquest proves effective in toppling rulers and capturing cities, yet permanence demands endurance. Administration, settlement, and defense must replace momentum. The conflict matures beyond revenge. It becomes a contest over the future of England. By the mid-870s, England has changed irrevocably. Northumbria fractured, East Anglia subdued, Mercia destabilized, Wessex recalibrating. Borders have shifted not once, but repeatedly. The scale of transformation is undeniable, yet the ultimate balance remains unsettled. The invading force has demonstrated capacity to seize and to govern, but sustained dominance requires stability. Supply lines stretch, resistance consolidates, adaptation accelerates in the south. The struggle has matured into prolonged competition between expansion and endurance. What began as vengeance has become restructuring. Power has shifted. Identity is evolving. The island stands divided, transformed through conflict yet not fully subdued. The next phase will determine whether conquest solidifies into permanence or resistance reshapes destiny. Ella is dead, Northumbria fractured, and the force that crossed the sea does not return home. York stands under new rulers, not as a ruin, but as a stronghold. The invasion has shifted from revenge to control. In East Anglia, a king has fallen. In Mercia, a throne has been abandoned, and the political map of England has been permanently altered. The Great Heathen Army did more than punish an enemy. It forced kingdoms to adapt or disappear. In the south, Wessex remains, fragile, pressured, watching. What began as vengeance reshaped a nation, and the struggle for England is no longer about revenge, but survival.